Join me on a journey through the complex world of human connections, where first impressions often deceive, and the real spark doesn't come from simple desire but from the deep magic of authentic connection. In this adventure, you'll encounter surprising moments and life-changing encounters that challenge everything you thought you knew about attraction. As you peel back the layers, you'll uncover the masks people wear and explore what it really means to form a true bond. Emotions will clash, vulnerabilities will be exposed, and you'll learn that real connection requires much more than what meets the eye. Are you ready to look beyond the surface and embrace the true complexities of those around you? The journey starts now. Introduction. In this book, each chapter offers a unique and self-contained story, exploring different aspects of attraction and human connection. You will notice that alongside the text, there are illustrations that bring each story to life in their own special way. These illustrations aren't just pictures, they are reflections of the emotions and themes explored in each chapter. Attraction is one of the most powerful feelings we experience as humans. It draws us in, sparking curiosity, excitement, and a desire to connect. This feeling often begins with something as simple as a smile, the sound of laughter, or the way someone moves. We are captivated by these qualities, and they fill us with a sense of wonder. But here's the challenge: while attraction is real and magnetic, it often hides deeper truths beneath its surface. To understand attraction more fully, we must look beyond the obvious. It can make our hearts race and our spirits soar, but it can also trick us into seeing only what's on the surface. Think about a busy cafe. You're surrounded by the rich aroma of coffee, and then someone enters the room. They seem to have it all: striking looks and a magnetic presence that immediately catches your attention. Your heart skips a beat. But what exactly are you drawn to? Is it their physical beauty, or is there something deeper beneath their exterior? This book is about exploring those deeper layers of attraction. It invites you to separate the illusion of attraction from genuine human connection. Beauty can be bright and shiny, it's the first thing we see, the thing that pulls us in. But the real journey begins and we look beyond that initial allure and discover what lies underneath. Beauty is just the starting point. It is the spark, but not the flame. In this exploration, we'll ask, is attraction just an illusion, or does it serve a deeper purpose in our search for connection? What happens when we are brave enough to look beyond the surface? Each chapter will take you on a journey to uncover the truth behind attraction, and along the way, we'll learn more about who we are and what we seek in our relationships. This journey will also encourage you to reflect on your own experiences, those moments of excitement and possibility, as well as the times when the illusions were shattered and reality revealed itself. By the end of this book, you'll better understand the complex nature of attraction and connection, and the deeper, more authentic relationships that can grow from it. The structure of this book is designed to invite you into these discoveries in a unique way. Each chapter offers a self-contained story, exploring different aspects of attraction and human connection. These stories stand on their own, with their own settings, characters, and lessons to share. There is no continuous narrative from chapter to chapter. Instead, each chapter introduces you to a new perspective, a new experience, and a new lesson. Alongside the text, you'll find illustrations that bring each story to life. These images aren't just decoration, they are reflections of the emotions, themes, and moments captured in each chapter. They help deepen your understanding of the experiences and ideas discussed, adding a layer of meaning and connection to each narrative. As you read, feel free to explore each chapter independently. Every story presents a different facet of attraction, from the excitement of the first glance to the complexities of deeper connection. Whether you read one chapter or all of them, you'll encounter a series of unique experiences that resonate with different parts of your own journey. These stories are not connected by characters or plot lines but by the universal themes of human interaction, desire, connection, vulnerability, and understanding. By the end of this book, you'll have a collection of stories that reveal the many layers of attraction and connection. Each chapter will offer you a new lesson, a new perspective, and an illustration that guides you through the deeper truths of relationships. This is just the beginning. The allure of attraction is only the first step. The true adventure lies in discovering the depths of our desires, the authenticity of our connections, and the vulnerability we embrace when we open our hearts to others. Together, we'll embark on a journey of self-discovery, navigating the landscapes of the heart and mind as we strive to see beyond the first glance. Chapter 1: Beyond Beauty, the Hidden Depths. In the vastness of the universe, beauty shines like a brief spark. It catches our attention and sparks desire, but often leaves us realizing that it is only skin deep. For those willing to look beyond the surface, beauty becomes a doorway to discovering the deeper connections we all share. Juliet stood at the edge of the busy cafe, watching the world unfold around her. People laughed, exchanged quick glances, and emotions swirled in the air. It was a lively scene, full of beauty, but Juliet couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing, a deeper truth hidden beneath the surface. Why do we chase shadows, she thought, her mind racing like falling leaves caught in the wind. Everyone seemed focused on appearances, enchanted by the allure of a beautiful face or body. Juliet had met many people who looked perfect, but each time, she felt a sense of disconnection, as if their beauty wasn't enough to form a real connection. Determined to see beyond this illusion, she decided to take a journey, not to some faraway place, but into the deeper parts of her own mind. She wanted to move beyond the usual ideas of beauty and attraction, seeking real connections that lay beneath the surface. As twilight settled over the city, Juliet walked through the cobblestone streets, her heart racing with excitement. She wasn't looking for pretty faces lit by streetlights, but for people whose stories could be felt deep within their souls. Each shadow seemed to speak, urging her to find the beauty hidden in people's lives. Her eyes caught sight of a small gallery nestled between tall buildings. The air smelled of paint and old wood, a place where creativity lived. Juliet stepped inside, drawn to the artwork. One painting in particular, a portrait of an elderly woman with lines of both joy and sorrow on her face, stopped her in her tracks. "What do you see?" a soft voice asked. Turning, Juliet met the eyes of the artist, whose gaze was full of wisdom. "Beauty," she said instinctively, though she felt something deeper stirring inside her. The artist smiled. "Yes, but do you see the love, the loss, and the strength in those lines? Each wrinkle tells a story much more meaningful than the surface alone." He pointed to another painting, a mosaic of broken lives pieced together. "True beauty isn't something you see at first glance. It's found in our experiences, our connections, and the shared humanity we all carry." His words lit something inside Juliet, opening up emotions she hadn't known were there. She realized that everyone has a unique story, and that story is what gives a person real beauty. A passing glance might catch her eye, but it could never compare to the beauty of shared experiences, laughter, or the honesty of vulnerability. That night, as Juliet sat under the stars, she thought about the artist's words. She now understood that true connection happens when hearts come together with sincerity and openness. When she left the gallery, Juliet felt changed. She walked through the night with a lightness in her heart and a new clarity of purpose. She was ready to move forward in her journey, where beauty was no longer just skin deep, but found in the richness of human experience. As she walked into the night, each step was filled with the promise of new encounters. She now understood that the search for connection wasn't just about attraction to someone's appearance. It was about opening up to their soul. In uncovering the depths of who we truly are, we find a beauty that outshines everything else. Chapter 1: Beyond Beauty, the Hidden Depths. In the vastness of the universe, beauty shines like a brief spark. It catches our attention and sparks desire, but often leaves us realizing that it is only skin deep. For those willing to look beyond the surface, beauty becomes a doorway to discovering the deeper connections we all share. Juliet stood at the edge of the busy cafe, watching the world unfold around her. People laughed, exchanged quick glances, and emotions swirled in the air. It was a lively scene, full of beauty, but Juliet couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing, a deeper truth hidden beneath the surface. Why do we chase shadows, she thought, her mind racing like falling leaves caught in the wind. Everyone seemed focused on appearances, enchanted by the allure of a beautiful face or body. Juliet had met many people who looked perfect, but each time, she felt a sense of disconnection, as if their beauty wasn't enough to form a real connection. Determined to see beyond this illusion, she decided to take a journey, not to some faraway place, but into the deeper parts of her own mind. She wanted to move beyond the usual ideas of beauty and attraction, seeking real connections that lay beneath the surface. As twilight settled over the city, Juliet walked through the cobblestone streets, her heart racing with excitement. She wasn't looking for pretty faces lit by streetlights, but for people whose stories could be felt deep within their souls. Each shadow seemed to speak, urging her to find the beauty hidden in people's lives. Her eyes caught sight of a small gallery nestled between tall buildings. The air smelled of paint and old wood, a place where creativity lived. Juliet stepped inside, drawn to the artwork. One painting in particular, a portrait of an elderly woman with lines of both joy and sorrow on her face, stopped her in her tracks. "What do you see?" a soft voice asked. Turning, Juliet met the eyes of the artist, whose gaze was full of wisdom. "Beauty," she said instinctively, though she felt something deeper stirring inside her. The artist smiled. "Yes, but do you see the love, the loss, and the strength in those lines? Each wrinkle tells a story much more meaningful than the surface alone." He pointed to another painting, a mosaic of broken lives pieced together. "True beauty isn't something you see at first glance. It's found in our experiences, our connections, and the shared humanity we all carry." His words lit something inside Juliet, opening up emotions she hadn't known were there. She realized that everyone has a unique story, and that story is what gives a person real beauty. A passing glance might catch her eye, but it could never compare to the beauty of shared experiences, laughter, or the honesty of vulnerability. That night, as Juliet sat under the stars, she thought about the artist's words. She now understood that true connection happens when hearts come together with sincerity and openness. When she left the gallery, Juliet felt changed. She walked through the night with a lightness in her heart and a new clarity of purpose. She was ready to move forward in her journey, where beauty was no longer just skin deep, but found in the richness of human experience. As she walked into the night, each step was filled with the promise of new encounters. She now understood that the search for connection wasn't just about attraction to someone's appearance, it was about opening up to their soul. In uncovering the depths of who we truly are, we find a beauty that outshines everything else. Chapter 2: The Illusion of Attraction. In the busy city, where the neon lights glowed against the darkening sky, an illusion was at work, a web made from desire and deception. Behind the smiles, the glances, and the beauty, a deeper truth waited to be found. We often find ourselves caught up in the shine of attraction, unaware of the real story happening beneath the surface. As the sun set and painted the city in golden light, Amelia wandered through the streets, drawn to the faces she passed and the stories she imagined behind their eyes. Every person seemed to have an invisible pull, offering the promise of excitement and adventure. Attraction surrounded her like a warm scarf, but deep inside, she felt a nagging sense of doubt. Her journey led her to a cozy cafe tucked between tall buildings. The air was filled with laughter and the smell of fresh coffee. It was here that she first met Adrian, a man whose confidence and charm made him stand out. His playful smile and sparkling eyes were enough to catch anyone's attention. But even as she sipped her cappuccino, Amelia couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to him than met the eye. Adrian walked over, his confidence drawing everyone in. He seemed perfect, the ideal image of attraction. But under his polished exterior, Amelia sensed something hidden. Was it all just an illusion, a mask to cover something more complicated? As they spoke, his words were full of charm, but Emilia could tell there was something deeper beneath the surface that intrigued her even more. "Tell me, Adrian," she asked, leaning in a little as the sounds of the cafe faded into the background. "What's your story?" For a moment, his smile faltered, and Emilia saw a hint of vulnerability behind his charm. "Ah, my story," he began, his voice trailing off as if the weight of it threatened to show. "It's filled with the usual ups and downs, like anyone else's. But I'll tell you this, beauty is just a mask we wear." Emilia realized there was truth in his words. It wasn't just Adrian that had drawn her in, it was the illusion of attraction itself. The charm she saw in him was captivating, but she knew it was only the surface. Beneath it, there was much more to discover. As they continued their conversation, Emilia started to see attraction in a new way. She understood that true attraction wasn't just about looks or charm, it was about a real connection that went beyond the surface. She felt a desire to find something more authentic, something real behind the masks people wore. A few days later, Emilia joined a book club at a small bookstore. This experience felt different from her first encounter with Adrian. The people she met here were kind and open, embracing their imperfections. They shared stories and experiences, and Emilia saw depth in these interactions. For the first time, she felt like she was connecting with people, without the pressure of appearance. Through these conversations, Emilia began to understand that attraction wasn't just the spark of chemistry in a moment. It was also about the connections built through shared ideas and experiences. True attraction became about real connection, not just about how someone looked or how charming they were. And so, Emilia began a new chapter in her life, one where she wasn't chasing the illusion of attraction, but instead, seeking deeper connections with others. She realized that her journey had just started. Beneath the surface of beauty was a whole world waiting to be explored, one where authenticity brought attraction to life, and connections could become strong bonds that weathered any storm. The illusion of attraction would always appear like a shimmering mirage, but Emilia had taken the first step to see beyond it. She was now ready to explore a deeper adventure, one that would show her the true meaning of connection. Chapter 3: Attraction versus Connection. In a world full of strong feelings, it's easy to get caught up in the sparkle of attraction. The initial spark can be exciting, like a promise of something more. But under this surface, there's a deeper connection waiting to be discovered. To find it, we need to understand the difference between attraction and real connection. Maria experienced this in the lively market of Santiago, where the air was full of laughter and the smell of spicy food. There, she saw Leon, a handsome man with wavy hair and a charming smile. The chemistry between them was instant, like an electric charge. This was the pull of attraction, drawing her closer. But as time passed, Maria realized that attraction alone isn't enough. It's like a mirage, appealing but short-lived. The spark of attraction might feel exciting, but it can't hold a relationship together. Maria discovered this truth as she got to know Leon better. One evening, as they walked through the quiet streets of old Santiago, they talked about things that mattered to them: art, travel, and their curiosity about the world. In that moment, something deeper than attraction started to grow between them. The initial excitement faded, and a real connection began to form. Attraction may get things started, but connection is what makes them last. It's in the comfort of being quiet together, the laughter over coffee, and the understanding between two people who share their lives. It's about discovering each other's dreams and quirks, which creates a bond stronger than just attraction. However, this journey wasn't easy. As Maria spent more time with Leon, she began to wonder if what she felt was a real connection or just the excitement of their initial attraction. It's easy for attraction to blur the lines between infatuation and true connection, so Maria had to face this uncertainty. Through open conversations, Maria and Leon started to understand each other more deeply. They shared not only their dreams, but also their fears and insecurities. Maria realized that true connection requires vulnerability, being open, even when it feels hard. It's not about being perfect, but about being real with each other. Maria saw that while attraction might bring people together, connection is what holds them together. It takes trust, courage, and a willingness to be open. It's about sharing your true self and facing life's challenges together. As the sun set over Santiago, Maria understood that her relationship with Leon had shifted from a brief spark to something much deeper. Their bond was no longer just about attraction, but about a true connection, built on shared dreams and understanding. In our search for meaningful relationships, we need to look beyond attraction and explore the deeper connection underneath. Like an adventurer seeking new lands, we must be ready to discover the hearts of others. It's this journey into connection that reveals the real beauty of people, beyond the first glance. In the end, the most rewarding part of a relationship doesn't come from the first spark of attraction, but from the deeper connection we build over time. As Maria prepared for her next chapter with Leon, she knew their journey was just beginning, driven not just by attraction, but by the deep connection they shared. Chapter 4, First Impressions, The Facade. First impressions are like the starting point of a story. They set the tone for what comes next. But behind these first impressions, there is often more to discover, something more complicated, shaped by what we see and expect. When meeting someone new, it's important to remember that first impressions don't always show the whole truth. Imagine a busy cafe on a sunny afternoon. The smell of coffee and pastries fills the air, but what catches your attention are the people. Each person has a story to tell, a glimpse of who they are, but first impressions can be misleading. Maya is an aspiring artist with a love for beauty and authenticity. She has bright green hair and tattoos that tell the story of her life. While Maya stands out, she knows that appearances can be deceiving. She has seen many people wear masks to hide who they truly are, and she knows how attraction can play tricks on us. Across the room is Oliver. He looks like the perfect gentleman, dressed in a sharp suit and full of confidence. When he catches Maya's eye, an immediate spark is lit between them. Their eyes meet, and it feels like the beginning of something exciting. But Maya knows that first impressions can be like a performance, where each person tries to look their best. With every smile and laugh, Maya thinks, it feels like we're both acting for an audience in our minds. Their conversation flows smoothly, with jokes and playful comments. But under the surface, Maya senses something more. She wonders if they are truly connecting or just playing a part. What's behind that smile, Oliver? Maya asks, her curiosity growing. She wants to know the real him, but she also wonders if she's seeing only what he wants to show. Oliver laughs and says, "Oh, I'm just a guy who's good at looking great in public." He changes the subject, avoiding anything too deep. Still, Maya feels there's more beneath the surface, and she wants to find it. In that moment, Maya realizes something important. Attraction may bring two people together, but it's the deeper connection that keeps them together. She knows that finding a real connection requires more than just attraction, it takes peeling away the layers of a facade. As they say goodbye, promising to meet again, Maya is left wondering, did they truly connect, or was it just surface-level attraction? She feels like their journey is just beginning. There's excitement, but also uncertainty. She wants to see if they can break through the surface and find the real connection. First impressions may be exciting, but they don't show the full picture. The real question is whether two people can look beyond those first impressions and build something deeper. Only time will tell if their relationship will stay shallow or grow into something more. To truly find something real, they'll need to see past the facades they've built. Maya walks away, feeling confident in the idea that true connections go beyond appearances. She's eager to see where their story will go, hoping for an adventure that reveals the beauty behind the facade. In a world where first impressions often catch our attention, the real journey is about having the courage to go deeper. The true beauty of a connection is found when we look beyond the surface. And so, the adventure continues, as the illusion fades and real connection begins to grow. Chapter 5, The Spark of Interest. In life, there are moments when something catches our attention, a spark of interest that can turn into something more. This spark is a mix of curiosity and attraction, and it can open the door to a deeper connection. In the busy city of Arcadia, with its tall buildings and fast-moving people, Elara often felt alone. She was a graphic designer, good at creating art, but when it came to interacting with people, she was unsure. Her life changed one evening at an art exhibition. While walking through the gallery, Elara stopped in front of a painting. It was a striking sunset, with colors swirling together in a beautiful way. She was so captivated by it that she stepped closer, holding her breath. Then, a voice interrupted her thoughts. "Isn't it amazing?" the voice asked. It belonged to Orion, a sculptor with a natural charm. He stood next to her, his hands in his pockets, watching her as much as he was looking at the painting. In that moment, something clicked between them, a spark. Elara looked at him, curious about how he spoke with such passion. Orion explained how art affected their lives, his hands moving as he talked. The air between them felt alive with shared interest, and with each laugh and knowing glance, they seemed to grow closer. But beneath the excitement, Elara couldn't help but wonder, was this just attraction, or was it something deeper? It was a question many people face, the desire to chase the initial spark without knowing if it could lead to something lasting. This chapter captures the feeling of that first spark, the moment between simple attraction and the chance for something more. Elara is left to reflect on her emotions and ask herself, how well did she really understand what she was feeling? She knew that to explore what came next, she first had to understand herself. Days turned into weeks, and Elara and Orion spent more time together. They laughed, shared stories, and explored the streets of Arcadia, where vibrant street art told its own story. As they watched sunsets together, their bond deepened. The spark from the gallery had turned into a growing connection. But even with all the excitement, doubts still lingered. Elara wondered if this connection would last or if it was just a passing moment. Her heart raced, unsure of what to expect. Every conversation with Orion felt new and different, making her question her previous ideas about attraction. Sometimes, their conversations fell into silence, moments where neither of them knew what to say. Yet, in those quiet pauses, Elara began to see a deeper side of Orion, his love for sustainability and the meaning behind his art. These things brought them closer than she had expected. Through this experience, Elara learned an important lesson about balance. The spark of interest was just the beginning. True connection doesn't mean there won't be conflict, but it's about having the courage to face it together. As they continued to spend time together, the real journey began. They moved beyond the initial spark, exploring deeper emotions and understanding each other. Would their connection survive the challenges ahead, or would it fade away? Only time would tell. Every moment they shared became part of their ongoing story, one that was still unfolding, with many more chapters to come. Chapter 6, Deconstructing Desire. Desire is a strong feeling. It pulls us in, making us think about passion and intimacy. It can tempt us to get close to someone, but what happens when we look deeper? This chapter will explore what desire really means and how it affects true connection. Desire often begins with a spark. It could happen when we meet someone new, like a stranger or someone we haven't seen in a while. That moment can feel exciting. Our heart races, and we feel drawn to them. But this excitement can also confuse us. How many times have we mixed up attraction with real connection? The excitement makes it hard to see clearly. We might like someone's appearance or personality but not pay attention to who they really are. Like moths to a flame, we can get hurt when things aren't as perfect as we imagined. Take Elara's story, for example. She was drawn to Aurelius, and his smile made her feel a desire she hadn't experienced before. She couldn't stop thinking about him, but over time, their conversations became shallow, and the connection faded. Elara realized that desire alone can't build a real, lasting bond. In Elara's story, we start to see desire differently. Is it just about physical attraction, or is it about something deeper, like wanting to truly understand another person? Desire can be deceiving. It often makes us see things that aren't there and leaves us disappointed when reality doesn't match our fantasies. We also need to ask ourselves, why do we feel desire for someone? Are we looking for companionship, or are we searching for something more meaningful? This is important. Wanting just companionship can leave us feeling lonely, but searching for a true connection leads to deeper, more fulfilling relationships. So, how do we move from desire to real connection? The answer is self-reflection, taking time to understand ourselves. When we let our guard down and show our true selves, we build trust. This trust turns desire into a deeper connection. Though it can be scary, it's through these vulnerable moments that we form lasting relationships. True connection happens when we look beyond surface-level attraction. Shared moments, laughter, and deep conversations all help build a strong connection. These are the things that create real relationships, things that desire alone can't build. In the end, deconstructing desire isn't about getting rid of it, it's about understanding it. Attraction is just the beginning, but it's not the whole story. After attraction, we can discover deeper connections, where trust and understanding create something stronger. Every time we move past shallow attraction and toward real connection, we are building something lasting. This is where the true beauty of relationships lies. Let's continue this journey with open hearts, ready to uncover the depth of our connections. Chapter 7: The Role of Vulnerability. In relationships, vulnerability is what connects us. When we show our true selves, we turn simple encounters into deeper, meaningful connections. Throughout history, we've heard stories of people who become stronger by being vulnerable, like a warrior taking off their armor or a knight lowering their sword. For those looking for real relationships, being vulnerable is both a brave choice and a way to find safety. Imagine a mountain range with tall, jagged peaks covered in clouds. Below, there are hidden valleys full of life and potential. To discover what's hidden, we must not only face the challenges outside but also confront the emotional walls we've built around ourselves. The journey isn't just about reaching the highest points, it's also about being willing to explore the quiet valleys below. This is the story of Elara, a curious woman who wants to understand real human connection. Every time she meets someone new, she sees how attraction and authenticity can mix. But she also finds herself stuck, holding back emotionally. The excitement of attraction is fun, but real connection always seems just out of reach. One evening, as the sun set and painted the sky with beautiful colors, Elara found a group of people sitting by a calm river. It was here that vulnerability showed its power. Under the moonlight, the group shared their stories, fears, joys, scars, and more. The raw honesty between them felt like a quiet wave touching everyone. Elara felt pulled to join, but also nervous. What if they don't accept me, she wondered. But as she looked around, she saw that no one was judging her. Instead, there was understanding in everyone's eyes. With a deep breath, Elara stepped forward and shared her own feelings, how she felt pressure to meet shallow standards of attraction and longed for something real. As she spoke, she felt a sense of relief, like reaching the top of a mountain and finding peace. That moment changed everything. Their shared vulnerability created a strong bond that went beyond what they had experienced on their own. In that space, the need for perfection faded, and true authenticity took its place. Everyone realized that vulnerability wasn't a weakness but a strength that allowed them to connect more deeply. After that night, Elara started approaching all her relationships differently. She was more open, allowing her strengths and weaknesses to be seen. As she did this, the world around her began to change. The superficial connections lost their hold, and she started forming meaningful, real relationships. But being vulnerable wasn't always easy. Elara met people who didn't understand it and saw it as a weakness. But whenever she faced rejection or misunderstanding, she remembered the river, where the moonlight showed her the strength found in being open. Through her journey, Elara learned that vulnerability is both an invitation and a challenge. It invites others to open up and creates deeper connections. The courage to be vulnerable changed the way she saw attraction, making it about something more real and meaningful, built on empathy and understanding. As Elara continued, she realized that vulnerability was her guide through the ups and downs of relationships. It led her to deeper, more authentic connections. She learned that true adventure wasn't about avoiding vulnerability but embracing it because it's the foundation of lasting bonds. In the world beyond first impressions, it is vulnerability that opens the door to real relationships. It shows us that only when we are brave enough to be ourselves can we truly connect with others. Chapter 8, Beneath the Surface. The surface of things often catches our attention with its shine and beauty. But the true adventure lies beneath, where deeper connections and real understanding wait to be discovered. To truly understand attraction, we need to look beyond what's on the surface. Too often, we focus on quick glances and easy charms, but here, we'll dive deeper to find the hidden treasures that are often overlooked. Take Elara's story. She was an artist known for her beauty, with portraits of herself hanging in local galleries. But under that pretty surface, Elara struggled with self-doubt, unfulfilled dreams, and a longing for real friendship, not just admiration for her looks. Despite her beauty, Elara felt lonely. She wondered if people liked her for her art or just for her appearance. Each compliment she received only made her feel more uncertain. So, she retreated to her studio, where she felt safe but also trapped in her own doubts. Ronan, a local sculptor, also questioned if anyone truly knew him. His stone sculptures were admired by many, but like Elara, he wondered if people saw the real him or just the image he presented. One evening, their paths crossed at a gallery show where both of their works were on display. In the crowded room, filled with admirers and critics, Elara and Ronan exchanged a look. They both silently wondered, who am I beyond the surface? Their conversation started like many others, casual and easy. But soon, they both realized they were tired of pretending. They wanted to be real, to show who they truly were, beyond the polished versions they presented to the world. Isn't it strange, Elara said quietly, that in a room full of people, I still feel lonely? Ronan nodded, his expression serious. We've built our lives on what people see in the light, but underneath, we're dealing with things no one knows about. In that moment, they found a deep connection. They both believed that true artistry, and true connection, came from understanding and embracing the flaws and complexities inside each person. In the following days, Elara and Ronan grew closer, discovering that real attraction wasn't about looks or quick smiles. It was about shared stories, laughter, and being vulnerable with each other. They learned that the true adventure was going beyond the surface, where the connection was richer and more meaningful than anything they had felt before. As they got to know each other more, they realized that the beauty people see on the surface is only an illusion. Real attraction happens when people understand each other deeply and connect on a personal level. Together, Elara and Ronan began to build a relationship based on honesty and trust, where real attraction grew stronger than any appearance could. This chapter invites you to move past the surface and dive into the deeper connection that's waiting for you if you're willing to look beyond the shimmer of the outside world. Embrace the deeper layers, for that's where the true heart of connection lies. Chapter 9, The Influence of Society. As the sun set over the busy city, Luna felt the weight of society's expectations pressing down on her. The city was full of color, but everything seemed distorted by what others expected from her. What does it really mean to be attractive, she thought as she looked at the ads around her. Perfect images of people promised happiness and success, saying, "Be like us." But Luna knew there was more to connection than just appearance. She thought about how society created standards for beauty and attraction. She remembered conversations with her friends, worrying about meeting these standards. Their laughter often hid the insecurities behind their online photos. It felt like a game with high stakes. Luna's phone lit up with an article titled "The Perfect Partner." She clicked on it, but it was the same old list: financial stability, status, success. Luna wondered, how could these things be so important? She looked around at couples walking by, laughing and holding hands. Their attraction seemed perfect, but Luna knew it was often just the surface. Real connection, she believed, came from being vulnerable. But society often hid that, creating illusions while covering up what really mattered. Luna walked deeper into the city and found a small cafe, a peaceful escape from the busy world outside. She went inside and saw a group of friends chatting. They connected easily, laughing freely, with no fear of being judged. Luna felt inspired by their realness. What if society wasn't always telling us what to do, she thought. What if people could just be themselves, with all their flaws, instead of trying to fit into society's mold? Outside, Luna saw a street artist painting. His work was free and unplanned, each stroke expressing his true self. Luna felt the power of his authenticity and realized that true beauty came from being real. Something shifted in her. Luna understood that society's rules about attraction and connection didn't define her. The road ahead would be difficult, but it was worth it if it meant discovering real connections, not just following illusions. As she left the cafe, Luna began to imagine a new life. One where she could be authentic and embrace her true self, flaws and all. A life built on real relationships, not societal expectations. With every step she took, Luna carried with her the lessons about society's influence. The shiny illusions might look tempting, but she now knew that true beauty came from deep, genuine connections. Chapter 10, Misunderstandings and Mistakes. In the middle of the busy city, with the sound of laughter in the distance and the smell of street food in the air, Ella stood under flickering neon lights, thinking about her recent encounter with Jake. What had started as a spark of interest had quickly turned into confusion, filled with misunderstandings and unspoken words. It was a Friday night when they saw each other again. Ella had picked out a bright blue dress, hoping it would catch Jake's attention. She didn't realize that what she saw as a creative choice might be misunderstood as her trying to seek approval. As she approached the crowd at the open mic night, her heart raced. Jake was already there, surrounded by friends, laughing loudly. The warmth of the moment made her feel brave, but as she got closer, she overheard part of a conversation that instantly made her heart sink. "Ella thinks she's all that in that dress," one of Jake's friends joked, laughter following his words. The casual comment hit Ella hard, creating doubt and confusion that made her question everything she had felt earlier. In that moment, what had felt like real attraction now seemed clouded with judgment. Feeling hurt and deflated, Ella turned away and left. As she walked down a quiet alley, her thoughts echoed, "Why didn't Jake defend me? Did he really feel that way?" The rest of the night felt heavy and uninviting. The laughter and music no longer seemed enjoyable. Ella's heart felt like it was weighed down, and what could have been a fun evening now felt empty. What she didn't know was that Jake was also struggling with his own feelings that night. Jake watched as Ella slipped away, a wave of uncertainty sweeping over him. He had noticed her when she arrived, the bright blue dress standing out in the crowd. But when his friends made their teasing remark, he wasn't sure how to react. For a moment, he joined in, thinking it was just harmless fun, not realizing it was pushing Ella away. As Jake caught Ella's gaze before she disappeared into the crowd, he felt torn. Should he go after her? Should he explain what had happened? But the idea of standing up to his friends felt awkward, and he hesitated, not wanting to risk his reputation. Days passed without their usual conversations. It was as if they were drifting apart, each lost in their own thoughts, the connection they had started to build slipping away. Both Ella and Jake spent time alone, reflecting on what had happened. Ella went over every moment in her mind, hoping to find some spark of connection. Jake, on the other hand, wondered if something as small as one comment could ruin what he thought was real chemistry. He wanted to fix things, but his fear of making it worse kept him from reaching out. Finally, feeling that something needed to be done, Jake decided to speak up. "Can we talk?" His voice was sincere, breaking through the silence that had built up between them. He felt vulnerable, but it was time to address everything. Ella, still unsure but ready to understand, nodded. "Yes, let's figure this out." As they sat together under the stars, each step of the conversation brought them closer to understanding. They both realized that mistakes had been made and misunderstandings had clouded their chance at a deeper connection. But through this honest conversation, a new path started to open up, one built on vulnerability and trust. They learned that in the search for real attraction, it's often the misunderstandings and mistakes that lead to the strongest connections, revealing the true beauty that lies beneath the surface. Chapter 11, Building Genuine Connections. As the sun set, painting the sky with orange and pink, excitement filled the air. In the lively town of Varenthia, where beauty could be found everywhere, the real adventure was just beginning, an adventure to build true, lasting connections with others. In Varenthia, it was easy to be caught up in the charm around you. People had bright smiles, cheerful laughs, and a magnetic presence that attracted others. But Alara asked herself, how could you see past the surface to find real connections with people? Alara stood at the entrance of a grand party, a masquerade ball where everyone wore masks, hiding who they really were. While the music played and everyone danced, Alara couldn't help but feel that these fun, surface-level encounters were just the beginning of something deeper waiting to unfold. Alara was determined. With her old journal in hand and a curiosity to understand more, she left the party behind. She wasn't just looking for new friends, she wanted to find meaningful connections, the kind that could handle vulnerability and stand the test of time. In a quiet corner, she spotted a group of friends laughing and talking together. Alara felt nervous but knew this was the moment. "Mind if I join?" she asked, trying to sound calm even though her heart was racing. "Of course. Come share your story," one of them said warmly. Alara joined them, and there, in the soft glow of candlelight, she learned her first lesson in building real connections, openness. As they shared their stories, Alara opened up too. She told them about her hopes, her fears of not being good enough, and her wish for something real in a world that often focused on looks. Every bit of vulnerability she shared made the conversation more meaningful. She realized that when she let her true self show, the masks everyone wore began to fall away, and they started to connect on a deeper level. With each laugh and honest conversation, Alara also learned how important listening is. As her new friends spoke, she listened carefully, letting their words wash over her without interrupting. Through this, she understood that real connection is a balance of talking and listening, of truly hearing each other's feelings and thoughts. But Alara also learned that even the strongest connections needed care. After the ball, she and her new friends wandered through Varenthia, exploring the town. They found cozy coffee shops, small art studios, and hidden gardens full of life. Every shared experience brought them closer together, building trust and understanding. Still, not everything was easy. One day, a careless joke caused a misunderstanding that threatened to hurt their bond. The fun atmosphere turned tense, and Alara felt the distance grow between them. But instead of letting the silence take over, Alara decided to face the problem head-on. She remembered the lessons she had learned and started an honest conversation. She knew that real connections need honesty, even when it's hard. This was the second key to building real relationships, transparency. Thankfully, the conversation cleared up the misunderstanding. They apologized and reassured each other, and their bond grew even stronger, turning worry into warmth. As the sun rose over Varenthia, Elara stood, amazed at what she had experienced. She had not only made new friends but had built strong connections based on trust and respect. The masks were gone, revealing the truth beneath. This was just the beginning of a wonderful journey, a journey into life, love, and lasting connections, where true beauty lies beyond the first impression and in the bonds built on honesty, empathy, and resilience. Chapter 12: The Transformative Power of Empathy. As the sun set, casting a warm golden glow across the landscape, Elena thought about how complicated human connections can be. Each relationship is like a tangled web, made up of attraction, emotions, and perceptions. But it was the less obvious thread of empathy that began to stand out in her recent experiences. For weeks, Elena had been trying to understand the truth about attraction. She realized it wasn't just about physical appearance, but something much deeper. Every time she interacted with someone, she wanted to find something real, something meaningful beneath the surface. One day, while walking through a busy area called the Marketplace of Emotions, a place where people shared both goods and feelings, Elena experienced the power of empathy for the first time. The market was lively and colorful, but it was the warm smell of fresh bread that drew her to a small stand run by an elderly woman. Her face, marked by years of life, told stories of both joy and sorrow. "Hello, dear," the woman greeted her with a voice as warm as the bread she was selling. "Do you ever take a moment to listen to the stories behind the smiles and frowns around you?" Elena stopped and looked into the woman's eyes, realizing how much life was hidden behind them. Every person who passed by carried their own unique story, joy, pain, dreams, and struggles. Elena had always thought empathy meant just understanding other people's pain, but now she saw it as something much bigger. Inspired by this realization, Elena decided to start using empathy to connect with others. She continued to walk through the marketplace, feeling more in tune with the people around her. As she met more people, Elena began to change the way she saw them. Instead of judging them based on looks or first impressions, she started asking deeper questions. She approached a man who was selling handmade pottery and asked, "What inspired you to make these pieces?" "This vase holds a part of my soul," he said, holding up a delicate vase. "I lost my wife last year. Making these helps me feel close to her again. Each piece tells our story." In that moment, Elena felt a deep connection. She no longer saw a vendor, she saw a man dealing with grief, pouring his emotions into his art. She realized that true beauty isn't just about attraction, it's about the connections we make through shared experiences. Next, Elena joined a group of young women laughing together over cups of tea. Their laughter was contagious, but instead of just joining in with small talk, Elena asked, "What makes you laugh even when things are tough?" One of the women, with a look of strength in her eyes, replied, "We've all had to say painful goodbyes. But we found that humor helps us through the hard times. It keeps our friendship strong." Elena felt empathy grow between them, like a flower blooming. She didn't just see these women as strangers anymore. She saw them as people who had faced challenges together and found ways to stay close. Each story they shared, about loss, hope, laughter, and love, deepened her understanding of what real connection is. As night fell and the marketplace grew quieter, Elena felt changed. Every story she had gathered added to the connections she was building with others. She now understood that empathy not only changed how she saw other people, but also how she saw herself. By connecting with others' experiences, Elena began to see past the illusions of attraction that had once confused her. Empathy opened up new ways of experiencing life and connecting with others, ways that went beyond looks, beyond first impressions, and straight into the heart of true relationships. As Elena walked home through the quiet streets, she carried not just her own story, but the stories of those she had met. She was ready to build deeper connections, connections that looked beyond the surface and explored the hidden depths of herself and the world around her. Chapter 13: Reevaluating Relationships. In the peaceful forest, with sunlight shining through the trees, Mira had an important realization. Standing among the fresh smells of the earth and flowers, she thought about the many relationships in her life. These connections, once full of color and life, now seemed fragile and shallow, urging her to look deeper. Mira had spent much of her life chasing attraction. She was drawn to the excitement of beauty and charm. But over time, she learned that attraction, though exciting, was often just a mask. Now, in the quiet forest, she understood it was time to rethink her relationships and explore what lay beneath the surface. She found a quiet spot by a bubbling stream, closed her eyes, and listened to the sound of water over rocks. It reminded her of the thoughts racing in her mind. Who among her friends really connected with her? And who had she kept close just because of their outward appeal? She thought about David, the charming artist who brightened her world with his art and energy. They would laugh and talk for hours, but after their meetings, Mira often felt a sense of emptiness. Was their connection based on something real, or was it just a fleeting attraction? As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the forest, Mira had a realization. She needed to face these relationships honestly. The excitement of attraction had clouded her judgment and stopped her from forming deeper connections. It was time to look beyond the surface and evaluate what really mattered in these relationships. As evening fell, Mira thought about each important relationship in her life. She thought of Elena, her childhood friend. They had shared secrets and dreams, but as they grew older, their bond had weakened. Could it be time to reach out and rebuild their friendship? Was it time to try again, not just as childhood friends, but as true partners in life? Mira also thought about her relationship with her parents. There had been tension, with high expectations and pressure to succeed. While she loved them, their connection often felt strained. Could she change this? Could she ask them to see her for who she really was, rather than just focusing on what they expected? As night fell and the stars appeared, Mira felt a sense of urgency. She realized that her future journey wasn't one she had to walk alone. It was a journey of self-discovery, shared with others. To move forward, she would need to be honest, courageous, and vulnerable. She would need to speak up about her feelings and address the things that had been bothering her. Mira decided to take action. She would reach out to David and have deeper conversations with him, beyond just discussing art. She would reconnect with Elena, inviting her to relive their childhood dreams and laughter. And she would talk to her family, creating a space for honesty and understanding. As the forest grew darker, Mira felt stronger, knowing she was ready for what lay ahead. She now understood that the best relationships aren't built on initial attraction. The deepest connections are created through shared experiences, trust, and open-hearted honesty. These relationships grow over time and become more meaningful. With new determination, Mira took a deep breath, feeling ready for the next day. Tomorrow would be a chance to rebuild her relationships, to connect more deeply with the people who truly mattered. Her journey was just beginning. Chapter 14, The Journey Within. As the sun set, casting long shadows over the land, Clara stood at the edge of a deep ravine. Each breath felt heavy, as if the air was filled with the weight of unanswered questions. She had come a long way, not just across the world, but deep inside her own heart and mind. What truly defined her? Was it attraction, or was there something deeper inside her? This was the question she had asked herself ever since she began questioning the illusion of attraction. Clara thought back to her first experiences, how her heart raced, the butterflies in her stomach, the excitement she felt when meeting someone new. But as she continued her journey, she realized that these feelings were often short-lived. Attraction wasn't as deep as she once thought. With each step, Clara remembered the conversations she'd had with friends and strangers. They all talked about how real connections were built on honesty, laughter, and shared struggles. But did Clara understand her own desires beneath the surface? While walking through her thoughts, Clara came across a pool of clear water. It was a symbol of her feelings and fears. Kneeling beside it, Clara stared at her reflection and asked herself a question. Why am I drawn to people who only want shallow connections, she asked, watching the ripples change her image. In the water, she saw flashes of quick encounters. One-night stands, shallow conversations, and fleeting glances. These moments of attraction had left her feeling empty. Though she longed for something real, she kept getting caught up in temporary connections that didn't last. Sitting back, Clara started thinking about her next steps, like planning a difficult journey. What if attraction wasn't the end goal? What if it was just a way to find something deeper? Could she risk seeking truth and vulnerability instead of the quick excitement that always faded? Vulnerability, she whispered to herself. Something I've avoided. Her reflection in the water shifted, showing the faces of those who had truly touched her heart. She thought of the laughter with Ethan over coffee, the deep conversations with Aisha under the stars, and the creative moments with Raj that turned dreams into reality. These weren't just attractions, they were real connections that had shaped her. With this new understanding, Clara felt energized. She had moved past the appeal of beauty and into something more meaningful, real closeness. She now understood that true connection came from exploring each other's depths, telling stories, sharing laughs, and healing together. Clara decided it was time to start her next chapter. She would no longer only look for beauty in others, she would seek the beauty within herself and embrace all that made her unique. As she stood up from the pool, the evening breeze seemed to encourage her. Connect, it whispered. And you'll discover even more. With a new sense of purpose, Clara walked into the night, ready for whatever lay ahead. The journey within had only just begun, but she was ready to seek real connections. The road ahead was full of possibilities, a world turned inside out, where true attraction led to even deeper relationships. With determination, Clara moved forward, ready to embrace what was next, knowing she was honoring the depths of her heart. She was ready to uncover the treasures waiting for her on her path to genuine connection. Chapter 15, Rediscovering Authenticity. In the busy city, surrounded by towering buildings, Jonah felt lost in a world full of surface-level connections. The bright lights and constant noise had pulled him into a life where desire often seemed like real connection. But despite the shiny facades around him, Jonah felt empty, like something important was missing. It was a surprising meeting that started Jonah's journey to find true authenticity. He met Lydia, a woman who was open and honest in a way that changed how Jonah viewed attraction. She was comfortable showing her vulnerabilities, wearing her scars like a badge of strength. As they talked, Jonah began to feel his own walls come down, revealing parts of himself he had hidden for too long. One crisp autumn afternoon, Jonah and Lydia went to a quiet park, far from the noise of the city. The trees were full of bright colors, standing out against the dull gray buildings. In the peaceful space, Jonah felt the idea of attraction slowly start to fade, replaced by something deeper and more real. "What's bothering you, Jonah?" Lydia asked, her voice kind but direct. Her question hung in the air, urging him to open up. Jonah paused, torn between keeping his guard up and wanting to be real with her. Finally, he spoke. "How do we really connect with people?" "That's a tough question," she smiled, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "The world tells us to wear masks, to pretend to be what others want. But real connection? That takes being authentic, showing up as you are, flaws and all." Her words hit Jonah deeply. He thought back to all the times he had felt sparks of attraction, only for those feelings to disappear because of things left unsaid. He realized that those moments were empty, like chasing shadows. But with Lydia, he felt safe enough to let go of the insecurities that had built up over time and be more of the person he wanted to be. "Let's play a game," Lydia suggested, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Tell me 3 things no one else knows about you." Jonah took a deep breath, a mix of nervousness and excitement. It was time to share parts of himself he had kept hidden. "Okay, here goes. I'm scared of failing. Sometimes, I feel like I'm pretending to be someone I'm not." He paused for a moment. "And I hide my love for poetry because I think my friends would laugh at me." There was a quiet pause as Lydia listened. She leaned in and said, "You're amazing, Jonah. There's beauty in being vulnerable, and it's only by showing our true selves that we can really connect with others." As Jonah let go of his fears and shared his truths, he felt lighter, like a heavy weight had been lifted. He realized that authenticity wasn't just about being vulnerable, it was about embracing every part of life, the good and the bad. With each honest conversation, each truth shared, Jonah felt a deeper connection with Lydia. Their bond went beyond just attraction. It was based on respect and appreciation for the imperfect, yet beautiful, nature of being human. That day in the park marked a turning point for Jonah. He realized that in rediscovering his own authenticity, he could begin to see and understand others more clearly too. Maybe, he thought, the path to real connection was just as exciting as any adventure. And with the illusions of the past behind him, Jonah stepped into a world full of possibilities, where his heart could be free, open, and unapologetically himself. Chapter 16, Embracing the Complexity of People. In the world, every person has a unique story, full of complexity and color. As the sun set and painted the sky with golden light, Mia realized that understanding people's complexity was more exciting than anything she had experienced before. Her journey started when she traveled to the town of Eldridge, a place known for creativity and unique personalities. She was eager to discover deeper connections, so she walked through the cobblestone streets, feeling excited. Mia knew that beauty could be misleading, and tonight, she hoped to meet people whose true selves were hidden beneath the surface. At a local art gallery, Mia was drawn to the bright paintings on the walls. Each artwork showed the artist's emotions and experiences, joy, pain, struggle, and success. Mia realized that every person she met had their own emotions, stories, and dreams waiting to be discovered. "Are you an artist too?" a voice asked, pulling Mia out of her thoughts. It came from a woman with wild hair and a paint-splattered apron. Her name was Lena, and she seemed full of curiosity. "I'm just someone looking to understand people better," Mia answered, feeling an instant connection. "Then you're in the right place," Lena said, pointing to the crowd of people enjoying the gallery. "Everyone here is a mystery, a whole world in themselves. But be careful, some people are harder to understand." Mia's heart raced. Was she ready to explore the complex lives of those around her? The challenge was exciting. Throughout the evening, Mia had many conversations. A musician told her stories of heartbreak that inspired his music, a sculptor shared how her childhood shaped her art, and an older historian spoke about the beauty of life's surprises. Each conversation brought Mia closer to understanding that beneath everyone's surface, there were rich stories waiting to be uncovered. But it was her conversation with Amir, a quiet poet, that changed her perspective. He spoke in metaphors, his words wrapping around her like soft threads. "Attraction is just the surface of the ocean," he said. "True connection is deeper, where understanding and vulnerability flow. Are you ready to dive in?" His words challenged Mia's views, and she felt brave enough to explore those deeper waters of connection. His words planted curiosity and courage in her. In a world where people often seek instant satisfaction, Mia realized that understanding others took time, patience, and sometimes, a willingness to feel uncomfortable. It was easy to only see the surface, but tonight, Mia chose to go deeper. She realized that everyone carries a beautiful, complex world inside them that can't be understood with a glance. As the night went on, Mia felt herself changing. The people around her were no longer just strangers. They were individuals with unique, intricate stories. Embracing the complexity of others wasn't the end, it was just the beginning. As she said goodbye to Lena and Amir, Mia felt alive with purpose. She knew that understanding people was a journey, not a goal, and she was now ready to continue that journey. With clarity in her heart, Mia stepped into the night, determined to look beyond appearances, to listen more closely, and to embrace the hidden depths of every person she met. She knew that in those depths, she would find the most meaningful connections and relationships. Conclusion: beyond the illusion. As our journey concludes, we find ourselves with a deeper understanding, where the illusion of attraction fades into the true essence of connection. We've explored human interactions, uncovering the truths behind attraction and the deeper bonds that bind us. For centuries, beauty, both external and internal, has captivated us. But we've seen that surface attraction often masks the real connection. To truly understand someone, we must look beyond appearances. Attraction may spark feelings, but real connection requires honesty, courage, and the willingness to face challenges. We've learned that relationships based solely on attraction often falter, while emotional intimacy grows through vulnerability and shared experiences. Connection is an art, requiring patience, empathy, and a shift in how we view relationships. Every relationship teaches us something new, revealing the joy of closeness and the pain of loss. But the rewards of true connection far outweigh the challenges. Empathy has been essential, allowing us to bridge gaps, see others as whole individuals, and understand their unique experiences. It reminds us that everyone has their own story, filled with both light and dark moments. Ultimately, this journey has led us to authenticity. By embracing who we truly are, we let go of the masks that first attract others, fostering real and meaningful connections. As we end this journey, we realize that while beauty may capture our attention, it is the depth of connection that truly touches our hearts. Life's most beautiful moments are built on lasting bonds, not just attraction. So, let's look beyond first impressions and embrace the richness of genuine connection. The adventure is only just beginning.